Good evening, gentlemen. This is your commissioner of the Still Brave Fantasy Football League, basically at the midway point of the fantasy football year. We're going to do a quick power rankings here before we call it a night for the evening. I do want to remind you, and actually, you don't know, um, I did not update the playoff feature for the league as of yet. I just hadn't gotten around to it yet. So I need to take a look at what we initially had planned. I think the top three teams in each division were going to advance to the playoffs, and from there, the winner of each division gets that bye, and then you play on there like how the NFL normally would. I'll check on that. That's an email that we sent back a while ago, but I do know that what the ESPN says for the current playoff seedings, are not going to be correct for our league. So please don't pay attention to that. Um, just in case you're wondering, if you're looking ahead, nobody is a lock for the playoffs yet, and actually nobody is mathematically eliminated yet. So you still got a shot there, Troy. If you want to win out, I think you might have a shot at making the playoffs still. Let's go over here and look at the big board, and we'll take a look at our top 10 teams, especially. Well, you're going to be in the top 10, but let's see where we're at. So float around here, make y'all nice and dizzy. All right. Obviously, we're going to start with number 10. This is Team Mavis. Currently, the record isn't what we expected, but we're having a good time. We have the number one ranked fantasy quarterback, actually. The team that hasn't won has the best quarterback of everybody, in Matt Ryan. But there's not a whole lot else right here, Troy. We had high hopes at the start of the year. Just here so we don't get fined like Troy, like Marshawn Lynch. But you know what? At least we're playing every week, and you got a matchup versus the current number 6 team coming up here this week. Moving up to number 9, we've got Jack. You look like looks like you're playing two teams on a bye. You have two. I'm sorry. What I meant is you have two players that are currently on a bye that you're starting this week in your lineup, and you're still holding out hope that Adrian Peterson is going to play this week, even though he's been on injured reserve since week number 3. But I applaud your effort. I know you're sticking with the guy. I know you've got a lot of expectations for him. You drafted him really high. So good luck with that. I think that this might be the week that he comes off injured reserve. Um, yeah, that's not going to happen. You are playing number 8, Adam, though. So number 8 and number 9 playing each other this week. Adam Vonderhaar, you have Julio Jones as your number 1 receiver, the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy football. But inconsistent play from the rest of your teammates. Overall, have this one strong team, this orange team, was very much higher on the list earlier in the year, all the way down to number 8 at this point. But Adam and Jack are playing each other this week, so one of these guys is going to move up instead of being a tied record. Speaking of tie, we're going to put Burkholder here at number 7. You have pretty good players like Emmanuel Sanders and Zach Miller that are sitting your bench. I don't know what the logic is there with some of your coaching and ownership moves, but you've got some pretty good players that would love to play fantasy football, but you won't let them. So you might want to do a little bit of evaluating of your team and see if you want to get some of these guys playing, because you got some pretty good players that are currently riding pine. Teams 7, 8, 9, and 10 kind of are, I don't know if you want to say bottom feeders, but the top 6 teams are pretty competitive with regards to week in and week out. You want to start here with Team Garver, who was much farther down the list. Team Garver is all the way up to number 6 now. Because he has the number 1 ranked tight end, the number 1 in Greg Olsen, who's the number 1 ranked tight end, the number 1 defense in the NFL, which is the Minnesota Vikings, and the number 1 kicker in Adam Vinatieri. So, 3 positions Team Garver has the number 1 ranked player in: tight end, defense, and kicking. That's pretty good. And also have the number 4 ranked quarterback in the league in Matthew Stafford. This team was left for dead early in the season, but is slowly starting to climb the ladder. Getting hot at the right time, it looks like, with Team Garver. So good luck to those guys as they move on. They have probably a win here because they're playing Team Mavis. Someone has to every week. So look for this great team to move up the ladder once again. In fifth place for the fantasy football power rankings this week is going to be Team Derringer, a very average team, quite honestly. But Tom Brady is at the helm now. One of his quarterbacks, his name is Tom Brady. So when you've got that guy in there, you're probably in every week. This is not a championship contender just yet, but this is a team that you don't want to see in the playoffs because Tom Brady's pretty good in the month of December, especially if the New England Patriots are hosting a game. So I would try to avoid that team at all costs. You want to make sure that these guys don't make the playoffs because they're going to be a spoiler to somebody. A healthy Tyler Eifert is back now. Can this team be in the playoff hunt with Tom Brady throwing to Tyler Eifert? I'd love to see that personally. Team number 4 is going to be Jordan Ratliff. They have the number 1 ranked running back in David Johnson and the number 5 ranked running back in Ezekiel Elliott. So 2 of the top 5 running backs in all of the National Football League play for Team Ratliff. I do worry about young, inconsistent quarterbacks. He has 4 quarterbacks on his team, and 3 of them are rookies, and the 4th one is Sam Bradford. So we have a lot of iffy quarterback play with Team Ratliff. 2 of those guys have to be good every week, and if they do that, then this team is very dangerous. But it's going to take some really good coaching, really good ownership from this general manager to see if that's going to happen. Previous number 1 is all the way down to number 3, dropping of 2 spots. But we can get back up pretty quick there because number 3 Gukin is playing number 2 Blake Bolton this week. Let's go back down to number 3 though. Number 2 and number 8 quarterbacks in all of NFL. Andrew Luck and David Carr play for Team Gukin, and also he has 3 receivers in the top 10 in all of the NFL. He has A.J. Green, Julio Jones, and Larry Fitzgerald are his 3 starting wide receivers. That is an incredible lineup. Not a whole lot of holes here with Team Gukin. Same thing can be said with Team Bolton. The reason why Bolton is ahead of Gukin is because they just played each other, and the Harambe's were victorious over Team Gukin, which is why Bolton is currently sitting in the number 2 position. This team was good before Rob Gronkowski came off of his injury. And now that he's back, I'm not sure if this Brown team, the Harambe's, are going to lose another game. They also have DeMarco Murray, who's the number 2 ranked running back, and T.Y. Hilton, which is the number 3 ranked wide receiver. I see no holes in the Cincinnati Harambe's lineup. But can they jump Team Ryan Vonderhaar, who's currently leading this week? We do have some bye weeks coming up this week and next week that are really going to hurt the production of Team Ryan. If they can win these next 2 games, I'm not sure if anybody can beat this team. It does look like this is a 2-horse race. These 2 top teams look like they're the class of the league, but it is pretty solid from top to bottom, especially these 4 teams that we're looking at here. But you don't want to see some of these teams here. And again, the hottest team is probably this one right here. You don't want to see those guys anytime soon. So again, taking a look there from the bottom, working our way up. It's going to be a pretty good week. Happy Halloween to everyone as the calendar hits November. Make sure you set your lineups if you want to do any kind of trading throughout the week as well. That might not be a bad idea as people start to have their bye weeks. That's going to be all for me. I don't have a whole lot of fancy for you today. Hope you are having a great weekend, and I'm looking forward to a great hopefully the Bengals and the Redskins are going to have a colossal game there in London where the Bengals coming out on top, and obviously, and go to 4-4 in real football as they go into their bye week. 3-5, it doesn't look good for playoff contention, but 4-4 in that division with a Roethlisberger that's kind of hurt, and the Ravens who are being exposed as the team that they are. I'm confident with a 4-4 record. I think the Bengals have a pretty good shot at making the playoffs, but 3-5 doesn't look good in my opinion. So we'll see how we get along. There's lots of really important things going on in the world, but fantasy football is definitely right up there. Have a great week, everyone. Until next time, I am Mike Derringer. That means that you're not.